All right, so let us get started straight into it. There's lots and lots happening in the market this week. Actually, what I wanted to change this week just a little bit differently, what I'm going to start doing from now on the Monday sessions is probably the first 5-10 minutes of each class. If anybody has any questions on the strategy that we spoke about on Thursday, I'll give you a quick opportunity to voice that, to ask any questions. So I know that I've caught you unaware. So if anybody does have any questions, please type them in. But what I'm going to do is when I left you last week, last Thursday, I believe, I'm looking at the Aussie dollar, I left you on this candle over here, okay, and at the time it was somewhere in there. I don't know where exactly it was, but that's where the candle was, and I said at the very least, hang around, probably the next one or two candles you're going to get an entry, and we did get that. We got just a reminder for the ones that were in the room, we were looking um, at the candle flip strategy, okay, which basically meant we needed a candle to close outside, which we got it over there, and then we're looking for a bear candle to close back on the inside. This one nearly does, but it doesn't. This one definitely does. And furthermore, that particular candle, if we drop down our vertical, it it's also the stochastics is satisfying the conditions that we require. So essentially we would have put a pending order here. We get triggered about there. Our first target for about 37 pips gets hit straight away, and then depending on what your action is, if you stayed in the trade or if you got back, you might have got stopped out if you moved to break even, or if you left, took half the trade out and kept the other half in, well then the second part of the trade would have hit your target over there. Did everybody follow that? Did anybody actually trade that one? Just a quick show of hands. Okay, so I'm getting all no's. All right. So at the very least, if you watched it, it would have been an opportunity to see how it actually works, how the indicators work in a live moving market. Okay. Not to worry. If anybody does have any questions and they come to mind, just write them in. I'll answer it towards the end of the class. But I guess from this point moving forward, if you attend the Thursday class and you do have any questions, I'll take the first 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes of a Monday to answer those questions. Okay. All right. So having said that, I'm changing my profile. Let's bring on what I need to look at. Okay. So the hot topic, there's two hot topics. Okay. And it's debatable between analysts which one is dominating or which one's going to affect the currency markets the most. And they are essentially Greece with the Eurozone and China. Okay. Now, sorry, I just got distracted there. Quick question. Robert, the classes are recorded, so if anybody missed it and you want to see it, respond back to the email that you received as an invite today, asking for the video, and I can organize it for you. Okay. All right. So Greece, at the moment, just for those who don't know, who are not aware of it, the situation there is that they have been given, there was meetings all over the weekend, and they've been given a 72-hour deadline, effectively finishing on Wednesday. That deadline is simply for Greece to accept different terms for an austerity program or a bailout program, as you may call it. The situation with that that right now is as follows. Now, Cyprus has got the authority and the power to accept that. The reality is Greece wants to accept it. The downside is that the Greek government took their people to a referendum the week before to vote on something which they unanimously said no to. Okay, 61% said no to, and what they said no to is actually what they've been offered are conditions that are worse than what they already said no to. So the bottom line is this. the Cyprus has got the power to accept it. Okay, if he does, it may be the best thing for Greece or may not be, but it will be political, almost political suicide. It could take the whole country into an election because basically he's going against what the people have said and against the promises that he made to be put into power. So there's a bit of political issues there. Okay, there is a second possibility that has been thrown up by the Germans, who are the most powerful in the Eurozone, okay? And they're talking about a temporary, let's call it expulsion of Greece, where they might be removed from the EU for a temporary period of, say, maybe 5 years before they're allowed back in. The reason that they're thinking about that is they really need to devalue the Greek currency. At the moment, they can't because they're tied to the euro. The only way they can do that devaluation is if they're actually removed out of the eurozone, their currency weakens to whatever the level it needs to be, and then when they're readmitted 5 years down the road, they can come back under different terms, different conditions, and it won't affect the rest of the euro countries. Okay, so those are the things that are playing up at the moment. The bottom line is that the ECB needs to take a firm hand. They're already being ridiculed. It doesn't look good for the other members of the euro, in particular the smaller nations, the Italies, your Spains and your Portugals, those types of nations. So they've come up and there's a deadline. The deadline is July 15. They need to say, yes, we agree, or no, we do not agree, and new documentation has to be signed before any further funds can be released to Greece to help them out. As it stands over there, their banks are still shut. There's a limit of 60 euros per day via ATM machines, and many of those ATM machines have already dried up. So the country's in quite a bit of a mess. Okay, so I believe that by the end of the week, on the assumption that we have a resolution one way or another, we will get a clear trading direction. Okay, most analysts, most people are of the opinion that Greece is going to stay. Okay, and considering that Cyprus has the power to do so, I believe that they will remain part of the euro and they will progress forward. Question being asked, my view on the interest rate change in the coming month, USA. Okay, yeah, I'll just mention that in a moment, Hamid. So the first thing that we need to think of, okay, what happens if Greece leaves? What happens if Greece stays? All right. Either way, whichever one happens, there's going to be a knee-jerk reaction. All right. There's going to be lots and lots of short money that's going to come into the market. Volumes are going to be very big, and it's going to come in purely to speculate. All right. Once it all washes down, the reality is a Greek exit is good for the euro. All right. But it could mean that we get a pullback into, say, 105, 101, 103 territory before it makes that recovery. Now, if Greece stays, we could still get that pullback into the 105, 103 because it's seen as a bad thing. So most analysts, and when I'm looking at it technically, are of the opinion that we're probably going to go down. All right. So I would like to say anything that confirms it. So when I look at the charts, we'll look for evidence to see if we can position ourselves in it. It is still a very, very high risky trade. All right, that's the first part of the equation. Second part of the equation is China. China equity markets dropped a ton of points last week. This week, China has got critical data coming out, and the recipient of all that turmoil has been the Aussie dollar. Okay, so this week, big things to look out for is China data over here. Okay, we really need to keep an eye on that. The Aussie dollar is receiving double bad news. China not so good, and euro in trouble, meaning a lot of money is moving from euros to US dollars as a safe haven, which means that the Aussie US dollar exchange is dropping and dropping and dropping. Okay, so it's been receiving it from both sides. I believe this particular week it's going to be close. Don't underestimate the China effect. Okay, and specifically we need to look out for what the policymakers say, because the policymakers in China, they really want to interfere as much as they can to try and create a floor and a recovery point in their equity markets, which ultimately spills over to the currency markets. Okay, so those are the two big fundamental things happening this week. From a data point of view, there's a ton of data out this week, a whole bunch of US data that we're looking for. I'm highlighting them to you right there. Aussie, we're light on Aussie data. However, we do have a lot of US and the Chinese data. So I think this particular week, on the assumption that we're not trading euro, okay, which is obviously the most volatile, in terms of data related, our hot currency for the week is going to be the Aussie USD. Okay, it would not surprise me to be chatting to you next week and the Aussie dollar sitting at 72 or 71-ish to 73 range. Okay, we've already broken through the 75. Let's get our charts up and let's have a look at what we've got. Okay, so here we go. Okay, Aussie dollar. First of all, last week when I spoke to you, we were sitting right here, and I said that is a sell opportunity every day of the week. If you're courageous enough, this is also the most difficult sell because of this sharp movement already. Psychologically, it's a tough trade to take. Hands up, who put a position short Aussie dollar last week when I called it out? Anyone? Rav, well done. Anybody else? Karen did. Alan did. Okay, so that's four of you. Okay, just to give you an idea, at the moment, there's about nearly 30 odd people sitting in here. Robert did. Well done. Roy did. Okay, great. Who's still in it? Who's still in that position? The position got as far as, if you took it where I put the mark there, it got as far as 140 pips in your favour. Um, and I did say, if you watched last week's class, I said you can either enter right now, or if you're a little bit more conservative, wait for a pullback. But I did say you may not get that opportunity. All right. So it's look, there is absolutely no way in the world that I want to be a buyer here. Okay, just to put that clear. So if I don't dare to sell, then I'm going to sit on the sidelines. Okay, we've already taken three great trades out of this movement. We took this one, we took that one, and we took that one. Okay, so we've had three good opportunities. There could be another one tomorrow. Can everybody see it? If we check out these two candles tomorrow, I need to wait till tomorrow. We could end up, if you look at those two candles tomorrow, what we could get is we could get the fractal up there, and we could get an inside candle situation, and then what you would be trying to do is trade through the inside candle. Okay, so I can see that there's a few of you waiting for a pullback. Okay, just remember 75 is going to be a psychological big number, and you could argue we got to 75 right there. Have we already had the pullback? I'm just throwing it out there. All right. So what I'll be looking for tomorrow again is I'm going to be looking at this setup, and I'm going to be hoping that I get an inside candle so that I get another opportunity to bite into it again. That's the best trade that I can see. I have zero interest in being a buyer based on this chart and based off everything that's happening. Okay. Now, if I'm wrong, that's okay. I don't mind. That's just part of trading, and I just scratch that one off. Let me show you the bigger chart. I've zoomed out a little bit. I'm still on a daily chart. Look at that. Look at that big, big, big resistance there. Once you break it, oh, it's tough to get back over it. Okay. So I'm definitely a seller. I'm hoping for tomorrow to get a nice setup. Um, I'll try and keep an eye on it. If I do see it live, I'll push it out on my Twitter account. Okay, so there you have it. That's Aussie dollar. Let me have a quick look on a 4-hour chart. Just want to see if there's anything else that I can see. Nothing. Okay, so that's the situation with the Aussie dollar, and remember, it's very vulnerable right now, the Aussie dollar, against both the euro situation and against the China situation. All right, so let's see what happens. Let's move on. Let's have a look at the Euro USD. Okay, Euro USD last week we drew, even though we said we were not going to trade it, which, well, I didn't, so we called it out. We noticed this bit of a wedge or a descending, basically based on one of those strategies that we do when our tops are moving down. Okay, um, we pierced it down here, so but notice that the candle closed back inside and just left the wick down, so that's definitely not a selling. It's not a selling trigger. So essentially, we did nothing, and right now we're back in the middle again. Look, the funny thing is that there's some strong technicals here to suggest if you get a pullback here, there could be a little trade over there. Now, let me say this. If you trade it with a correct risk to reward ratio, like we do here every Monday, and you really do like the trade, don't be afraid of it. If you get it wrong, you're only going to lose one portion, where every time you get a trade right, you're winning two portions. All right, so it doesn't have to be the end of the world. What could happen is something like this. I'll try and draw it out. We could get a candle that maybe it's a red one, does a bit something like this, and what I would immediately be looking for is something along those lines. And if I get it, then on the break of that candle, I will try to take it over there. Okay. Now, based on that, your stop would be this distance there. Now, mind you, I'm just drawing here with my pen. So as soon as you get to about this level there, which is smaller than that, that's your one-to-one point. And at that point, risk is off. Okay, there is zero risk. You either make more money or you break even or you make half. Okay, so that's the way that I analyze it, and that's how I mentally try to justify whether I've got the courage to take the trade or not. All right, it is the euro. If you do want to speculate and you get a nice setup like that, well then it's worth it. All right. Robert just asked a question. What about the longer term on the Aussie dollar? Oh, longer term, I can see this thing going to 70. Okay, and then really push. I think if we get to that 70, the government's happy, Australia's happy. For it to go beyond that, see another factor starting to kick in. Sorry, I'm just digressing back to the Aussie US. The housing market is starting to kick in as well. All right, yeah, the weaker our currency, it's also fueling external money that's coming into our country that's buying up property, which is driving the prices up. So it's a tricky one. All right, 70 is really good. The government's really happy with 70 for an exporting country like Australia. As soon as we start to go below that, well, it's not the end of the world. It's great for us internally in Australia. It's just not so nice for us to go on holidays outside of Australia. So look, 70 is definitely on the cards. Okay. All right. So that's sorry, I just digressed there for one moment. Back to the Euro USD. Um, if you see the setup, don't be afraid of it, is what I'm trying to say. Okay? If there is a resolution, if there is a resolution, it's got to be a fast movement because we're midweek. Unless the resolution happens on a weekend, then there'll be gapping. But if it happens midweek, it'll be a fast movement, but which should give us the opportunities to get in and get out if we're incorrect. All right. Okay, let's carry on. Let's have a look at the GBP USD. All right. I I am hoping that at least 50% of you took this trade because I've been talking about this trade, telling you to watch it. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Okay, hands up. Who took it? Rav, well done. Anybody else? Got one. Is it Alan? Yes, great. Anybody else? Andrew got 3. Okay, for anybody who's newer in the class, let me explain the trade. First of all, there was 2 trades there. Okay, the first trade was the breakout of this shape. Let me change colors just so that I'll just make it really, really obvious. This rising wedge, we broke out of it. Okay, the signal for it was this candle over here. This is a difficult trade, so if people didn't take that one, I can understand. The trade is down. All right. Now, if you took that trade, you're probably still in that trade. All right. Now, I did say if you do take that trade, please respect this channel because this channel was one of the nicest channels that we've seen in a long time. All right. Let me get rid of this line so that I don't confuse everybody. And this one. And have a look at that channel. Look how smooth. Look how smooth that is. That is very, very smooth. So had you taken a short right there, you should have considered doing something at the border. All right, and I did say that last week. So that was a difficult trade. So if you didn't take that one, I can understand. But this trade coming up next is the bread and butter trade. Let me zoom in. Now, remember, I spotted this channel about here. So that's about 2 weeks ago. And I was trying to get a trade in there, and I was really, really looking for a trade, and I didn't quite get one. I got the setup, but then we broke up there, so it cancelled out, so I didn't get a trade. All right. Then we got one over there down. Some of us took it, some of us didn't. And then this one here. This is a really, really good trade. For the ones that are new, what we've got here is we've got an inside candle. Where this one is the bottom, it's got the fractal. It's sitting right on the channel. You get a little inside candle on the inside, which is contained by the big candle. And then as soon as you break that top, that's your entry point into the trade. Okay, your stop goes a little bit below here. That's your risk. So let me measure out. So you would have had a stop of around about 100, about 102. This trade got up to 122 so far. All right, so your 1-to-1 point has finished. So are you guys still in it? The ones that took it, you've reached your 1-to-1 point and you're still in for the second half or whatever? Okay, good stuff. All right, this trade looks really, really good. All right, it's a really good example of pattern trading. And when you do find these um, channels, I really do like channels. Price action trading on the border of a channel is very, very strong. Okay, so right now, if you're not in this, well then it's kind of too late. I need to wait until something happens. So I've got no trade for you right now. Let me have a quick look on a 4-hour chart for the ones that don't have a trade. Let's see if I've got anything here. No, there's nothing there, guys. So the only thing to look out for next, all right, if the GBP was to take a tumble, all right, what we could look out for next is we've started a downtrend, all right. You can see that our moving averages here have crossed over. So what you could look for is if this has a bit of a pullback and then you get a price action entry to try and trade it down, like we did over here. Okay, so and the thing is, if it does give way and you take a trade over here somewhere and it goes through the channel, well then you've got a really nice trade because it's gonna carry through quite some distance. All right, but that's not ready yet either. So at the moment, um, really, I can only see this moving in this direction. So no trade. Any questions on the GBP USD? Anybody? For our flag pattern. Let me have a quick look. What are we looking at? Okay, okay, Bijan. Okay, first of all, what Bijan is saying is that this over here looks like a flag. Okay, and the way that you trade a flag is like that. Now, everybody that knows how I like to trade flags, this is wrong because all the price is coming from here. The idea of a flag is that you're going into uncharted territory. So what that means is I would prefer that. Let me just manipulate my chart a little bit. For example, if the price went here like this, there, and then made the flag up there, and you can see that all the price is down the bottom, and I've got into uncharted territory. There's nothing to the to the left hand side of the flag. Then I like to trade the flag, and you can see from this example that that's not the case. If I go left of the flag, all the price is over here, so that's a no. All good? All right, let me move on. Let's have a look at gold. Okay, we saw this wedge, this falling wedge, and look, it's still holding. And what I'm noticing now is that we're kind of coming to this double bottom kind of situation, and we've got the wedge as well. It's a market that I really don't want to touch. What you could get is if this comes down again and you get a really nice price action setup, you could attempt to buy it. Okay, let me just zoom out a little bit further. I just want to see how strong this floor is. There's a little bit more over here as well, which is kind of it could have a bit of strength, this floor. All right, knowing that, if I do come back into this hot spot, I might look for a bounce type trade if I get nice price action off it. Okay, so but at the moment I don't have it, and I don't really like this particular looking chart. It's not looking pretty to me at all. It's actually confusing me. Um, so I'm not going to take a trade, but what I will say is if we go back and we come down to about the 1130 mark, all right, 1130, if you come to around about the 1130 region and you get a nice reversal price action setup, well then that's your indicator that if you want to have a go at this trade, it's set for you and it's ready to go. All right, all right, that's gold. Nothing more happened. Oh, let me have a quick look at a 4-hour chart. No, there's nothing really there other than what I've just said. All right. Okay, let's have a look at the US yen. Okay, I spotted this. The US yen at the moment, it's got all these holes in it. Like it's these gaps and fast movements that was being caused by money moving risk on, risk off. And when you hear talk about risk on, risk off, the US currency is considered to be risk on currency, meaning when the markets there's lots of risk going on, people exchange to US dollars because they feel it's more of a safety currency. It's got more credibility, it's more stable, it holds its worth, etc., etc. So as soon as um, the, there's a lot of risk in the market, you can see you get the big candles and a lot of money shifts over to US dollars. All right, so it's created this funny looking chart. There is a bit of a channel going there, and on a 4-hour chart you can see it a little bit better. All right, so if I'm going to be true to my word and try and be a channel trader, we're coming towards the edge right now. We may get a bit of a pullback situation, and because of the nature of price action trading, 2 to 1, a 2 to 1 sort of risk reward, or even a 3 to 1 risk reward, we don't. If you get the right setup over here somewhere, it would only mean you got to pull back to about here, all right? Because fundamentally, fundamentally, I'm I'm a buyer, all right? I want to be long US yen. Fundamentally, I still want to be long US yen. There was good buying opportunities when we pulled back into the 120 region. So this kind of trade that I'm looking at over here is a temporary pullback. All right, just a bounce off the channel. So if you get it, feel free to go for it. And if you do get a pullback and you're a longer term trader, well then that could be a nice setup. Any pullbacks we're looking to buy and and really push into as soon as Greece boils over and there's a bit of stability or a bit of I guess calmer waters, or the focus is off the euro. I believe that then the focus will come back to the US and their interest rates and all that kind of thing, and we could see the US yen move back and push. So I still think that possibly Christmas time this year, we could be at about 128. I would love to be at 130, but I still feel we got so close, and then we've come off the boil. This could be an opportunity to get back in. All right, that's the US yen. That's a longer term. On a shorter term, on the technicals, that you could get a nice sell entry over here. So look for it. Look for an inside candle. Look for an engulfing candle. All right. Hamid, fundamentally, I'm a buyer. What I mean by that is based on the fundamentals of the market. All right. When I say fundamentals, I'm not talking about what the charts are saying. I'm talking about the economics and the policies of the decision makers and everything that's happening, everything except the chart. All right, so from a fundamental point of view, the US is the economy is starting to recover quite well, and it's no secret that they want to increase their interest rates, and as soon as that happens, that currency gains in strength, so we could see this push up. All right, does that make sense? All right, so that's the US yen. Technically, let's look for a sell if you can get it on the fringe. If not, any pullback might be a good opportunity to start to position yourself for that longer trade. Euro yen. All right, I have to say this about the euro yen. This is the currency, my number one trade currency, first of all. All right, that doesn't mean it's a better currency or that it's a worse currency. It just happens to be my preferred. But at the moment, the euro yen is probably going to be the currency that is most volatile around the euro situation. Anything is happening over there, and we're getting these huge candles, all right? Like, these candles here, they're just happening all the time. So it seems to be the currency that is being affected or is reacting the most based on the Greece situation. All right, so for that reason alone, and for the fact that we were monitoring this nice channel, and just when we got the opportunity to buy, the Monday morning we opened down there. It just blows everything out the water. There's really nothing there. Let me have a quick look at a 4 hour. It's the most horrible looking chart that I've seen in a long time. Look at all the gaps everywhere. So let's just make this okay. There is one thing that I can see. All right, there is one thing that I can see, and I get the feeling that over here we're going to get so there's already an inside candle forming, provided that this candle doesn't get through that level. As long as that does not happen, we tomorrow, if this comes down or ends up anywhere like that, tomorrow you're going to get a fractal over here, okay, which could set up a sell. We're in a downward kind of trend. Albeit it's a funny trend, but you could get a sell situation. All right, it's going to be a bit of a volatile ride, but nevertheless, you could get this set up. Does everybody understand what I've just drawn on my chart? It's not ready yet. We need to wait to see what this candle finishes and looks like before we can actually see if we're actually going to get what we're looking for or if we're not going to get what we're looking for. Okay? All right. So if I see this one and it looks really extra pretty, all right, I will call it out for. I know there's quite a few new people in the room, so I'll just take this opportunity right now. If you are a Twitter user, my username is called ChatFX. Follow me on Twitter, okay? Follow me on Twitter, and you will. I send out the alerts live. So if I see it, I'll send you the picture. You'll understand what it's all about, and you should be okay. Just a quick show of hands. Someone's saying they can't hear me. Can I just get a confirmation that you can hear me? Yes? Okay. All right. So, Murphin, if there's no sound, it might just be your internet. Maybe just log out, log back in. Okay. Um, so, if you're not following me already my name is ChatFX on Twitter. Just add me in. If you use a smartphone, you can actually set up the phone so that you get the alert live. Just go through your menu. Okay. All right. So we'll look out for that one tomorrow. Let's move on. Kiwi Dollar. Okay. Kiwi Dollar. There is absolutely no way in the whole world that I want to buy Kiwi Dollar right now. Okay. If anything, I'm looking for one thing in particular. I'm looking for a selling opportunity. All right. And I just see something right now that I want. That's actually a really good example of a setup. So I'm just going to zoom in and I'll just use it as an example. That's as much as I can zoom in. Now, what I want to show you here is the way that fractals work. If I look at these two candles over here, those two, this candle that I'm pointing at is engulfing this candle over here. Does everybody agree with that? That the candle that I'm pointing to is engulfing the other candle. We all agree with that? Great. Now I'm in a downtrend, and if I get a bit of a pullback and I get a engulfing or a inside candle, what do I like to do? I like to sell. All right. Now, at the moment though, I also need, oh, excuse me. At the moment, what I also need is a fractal. All right. So I would like this candle here to have the fractal. Right now, it does not have the fractal. All right. Now, as long as this candle, this is today's candle, does not get higher than that level, okay, tomorrow when this candle starts over here, there will be a fractal over there. All right. It's not there yet because it's too early for it, but if this current candle where I'm pointing right now does not get higher than that top, tomorrow, when this candle starts, a fractal will appear. Does everybody understand what I've just said? So sometimes when you see an engulfing pattern, okay, um, the confusion then is, and somebody's already asked the question is, so when do I enter the trade? All right, that's a good question. Now, if you wanted to gamble on it, you could enter the trade right now. Now, if this candle ends up being a candle that looks like that, well, you're going to get stopped out and then you're going to think to yourself, well, why did I enter that trade? All right. Now, if you wait and then this candle comes all the way down here, well, you've missed out on all this distance, even though you got the fractal. But nevertheless, now it's a correct trade to take. So to answer your question is, you should wait. You've got to wait for this candle to finish. Okay? Now, on another note, what might happen tomorrow is we might get these two candles as a setup. If I get these two, I get the fractal here tomorrow, and then this is an inside candle. The question then becomes, let's say tomorrow's candle starts. I'll just start to draw it. Give me 1 second. Tomorrow's candle starts over here. Okay, at that level right there. And that you've got the fractal over here, and you've got these two formed an engulfing, and then you got the other two formed an inside candle. So what do you do in this case? Do you? Well, technically it's an engulfing candle, so you can enter your trade right there, or do you wait for the break through there? What do you think? Okay, Karen, yeah, yes, you're correct. So we've actually got both situations. Okay, well, Karen's saying put half of the trade straight away and the other half trade at the break. That's fair enough, and that's okay. Look, the reason why I ask these questions to is it really to provoke you into thought is is essentially there is no correct answer. The correct answer is whatever is written inside your trading plan. That is the correct answer. So in Karen's example, she said enter half the trade straight away and the other half at the break. Well then, if that's her rules, that's fine. All right. And many of you want to wait for the break. That's fine. Hamid, still risk there. Look, there's always going to be risk. All right. So as long as you are comfortable with the risk level and you've addressed it, well then that's fine. Okay, so for me, it's a tough one. Normally, what happens for me when this situation, for some reason, my eye doesn't notice the engulfing, and my eye just sees the inside candle. So I tend to end up just putting the trade there, not because I wanted to, but just because I didn't realize that it was also an engulfing candle. All right, so I guess I need to create a set of rules for myself as to what I'm going to do if I get both setups. Now, this was a really, really good example. That's why I've just taken a little bit of extra time to explain that. All right. So I get the feeling that this candle might push up through there, which means there's got to be no trade tomorrow. And we're going to push up a little bit more, and then I'm going to get the setup that I want. Now, just because I think that, it doesn't mean that I'm going to buy. I am not a buyer. All right. But I do feel that I could get a pattern pushing up a little bit more before I get the setup that I want. And to be honest, I would actually prefer it to push up a little bit more before I get the pullback. Okay, so in summary, Kiwi Dollar, we're waiting for the setup. We're not buyers, we're looking for a sell opportunity. If it comes tomorrow, that's fine. Let's take it tomorrow. If it comes towards the end of the week, well then that's fine as well. Any questions on that one? We're all clear. Great. All right, let's have a look at the Euro Aussie. Okay, we spotted this channel last week, but it did not give us an opportunity to get into the trade. So even though it made this beautiful movement, we did not get a setup. So we could not take advantage of it, which was disappointing. We are coming to the top again. So now here's a question. Euro Aussie, if the Euro Aussie goes down, what does the Aussie USD do? Does anybody know? Bijan's got the answer. Hamid's got the answer. Any other takers? Robert, yes. Ray, yes. Okay. The answer is the Aussie USD goes up. All right. Not technically, it's not a rule, and currencies can go out of correlation, but generally they're 100. They got negative correlation. All right. So if this one goes down, that means the Aussie goes up. I have a sometimes you're going to have a mental conflicting thought in your head. I could get a setup here to go down. If that goes down, that means Aussie's going up, and I don't want to buy Aussie, so I'm in a bit of a dilemma. All right, so you have to learn how to deal with that for yourself. So there is a reason that I pick these currencies because they're not too correlated against each other. They are a little bit, and I try to weave my way around it so that I get a mental conflict in my head. Nevertheless, technically, there is a setup coming up on the Euro Aussie for a short spell. So, and it could coincide with bad news on the euro and give us a really nice trade. So don't ignore it. So keep an eye on it. We're getting close. We're getting towards a fringe. I'm going to be looking for a nice price action entry somewhere around about there to take me back down to the other side of the channel. Karen's asking a question. Which doji are you looking? Are you referring to, Karen? 8, 9 candles back. Oh, this one here. No, I think that if you this because this is lower, if this one here was finished there somewhere, you would have got the doji there. All right, it's not strictly this what we're looking for. It actually does look at one more candle. Okay, so and then they'll put the doji over there. All right, so okay. All right, so that's our Euro Aussie. I've pretty much covered everything. Someone's asking me to have a look at, what was it? US CAD. If anybody has any others that you'd like me to look at, type it in right now. US CAD. US CAD is a commodity driven currency. Let's pull it up. Oh, where's my US CAD? Oh, that's really, really nice. That's a nice looking chart. Okay, who can see a trade just brewing right now? US CAD tomorrow. Look out for a setup right there to go long. Okay, we're in a nice uptrend. If this candle behaves itself and stays inside of this level, you will get a fractal here tomorrow. You'll get an inside candle and then look for a breaking candle up. So really nice pattern too. Okay. Someone's saying there's a head and shoulder. Give me a second. I just got quite a few questions come through. Give me one moment. Bijan, is that on the US CAD that you're saying there's a head and shoulder? I can't see it. Inverted or the other way? Inverted. Okay, so what you're looking at is this. Are you looking at this? Okay. Is that what you're looking at? Okay. All right. While I'm here, I'll just explain it. This is not a head and shoulder pattern. Normally, the way that head and shoulder patterns work, I'll just draw one over here. If that's the shoulder, that's the head, and that's the shoulder. Normally, the price. Oh, sorry, give me one second. I'm just. Sorry, just one second. Okay, what I don't like about this pattern is as follows. Because the head's here, okay, this this shoulder is not defined. This is really just congestion to me, okay? So that is not a smooth enough shoulder. So I'm going to say that that is not a pattern based on that, okay? It's a difficult one. I need to choose my words carefully. I've just seen so many of these, just my instinct says no. But that's the best way that I can describe it right now. I'll try and get you a better answer. Okay? Alright, let me go back. Someone said Kiwi CAD. Kiwi CAD Daily. Again, see, there's a lot of the Kiwi pairs have got this setup. They've been on a down, they've pulled back, and they could be ready to go down. So don't trade them all. Choose the one that you like the best. All right. So this one again, look for a setup tomorrow. GBP CAD. Someone's asked. Give me 1 second. GBP has been in a nice smooth action trade, sort of trend. We just missed an opportunity over here that we we didn't really get it. Um, so right now there's nothing on GBP CAD. Okay. Hamid's asking for some on the US Swiss. At the moment, Hamid, since the Swiss situation that we had about 4 months ago, I used to analyze the Swissy. I haven't. I'm not ready to go back to trade the Swiss. So I'll have a look at the chart for you. But just please understand that I'm not a Swiss person trading at the moment at all. Okay, so I'm just changing my profile. 1 second. US Swiss. Okay, yeah, so there would have been a really good trade right here. So where I left you last week, we would have been about here somewhere. So if you switched over to a US Swiss trade, you got a setup right there. The stochastics was right. You would have got triggered into your trade about there. Your first target gets hit there. Your second target gets hit there. Okay, so it's a good setup. There's another one over here. This one closes back inside. We're good. And let me just measure. That's 17 pips down, so you get triggered about there. And if we're strict to our rules, you get out right over there. Stochastic cross was after the signal in the first setup. Let me have a quick look. Let me just draw a vertical line. No, I got that right on. That's the signal candle, and the cross to me is good. Okay. All right. A couple of last ones. What have I got? This is a channel on the GBP CAD. Let me have a quick look at that one. 1 second, guys. It's quite steep, but let me see if I can make it more channel looking. This is the channel that you're referring to, or this part over here. Let me zoom in. This here. I guess it's not the prettiest one uh, because I'm cutting out this bit here. So it's not pretty enough for me to trade. Okay. But yes, it's, I guess you could say yes. All right. Okay. Let me see. Any last questions? Okay. All right. I think I've covered everybody's questions. Any final things? Anybody wants to mention? Let me just quickly recap what we said. Aussie USD, we are sellers. We're waiting for a sell entry. We could get it tomorrow based off those two candles. Euro USD, technically, we could get an entry there to take us back up. Beware, it is the euro. GBP USD, we've missed our boat. So if you're not in it, you're going to have to wait for the next opportunity. Gold, 1130 region down here could be an entry if you get the right price action for it. US yen, 4-hour chart, look for it. It should be ready in about very soon, maybe by tonight. Okay. Euro yen, we're staying away from unless you get that really nice setup tomorrow. But I'll push it out if it's nice enough. I'll push it out. Kiwi dollar. Kiwi's been on a downtrend and the Kiwi's shown a pullback, so it's got a lot of setups against different currency pairs as we had a look at. So look out for that double candle pattern there. And the Euro Aussie, which is the last one that we look at, let me just get rid of this, there was a channel from memory. Where is the Euro Aussie? Here we go. There it is. We're coming up to the hot spot on the Euro Aussie up here as well. Okay, that's it. Any questions that you have, email me. I will dig through my strategies on Thursday, see what I can dig up for us. I'm going to try and find something that's relevant to today's market, obviously. For those of you that are still practicing the candle flip, the more you practice it, the better you get. I'll tell you this much, I haven't received a single email about a setup yet, so I don't know how much practicing has been going on. If it's not a strategy that you don't like, that's okay. Maybe the one that I'll show you on Thursday will be better suited. Other than that, I'll see you all on Thursday at 3:30, usual time, and just keep your ears out. We may have a resolution on the Greece situation by then. If we do, I'll let you know. See you all on Thursday. Bye for now.